Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the American Pop Culture Series channel. I hope that all of you are having a wonderful day. So, today, The View, I thought the show was so good. And tomorrow, Marjorie Taylor Greene is supposed to be on the show. So, I am going to try to get caught up on all the episodes that I missed previously with my recaps. But I wanted to start today, so I hope that everyone had a wonderful holiday weekend. And let's go ahead and kick off this Monday. So they are talking about the president's takeaways from the 60 Minutes of interview. And basically, he was constantly pressed on like healthcare. Um, and of course, Sonny jumped in and said that he essentially doesn't have a plan. He doesn't even have concepts of a plan. One thing that I did appreciate was Alyssa. Even though she's the only Republican on the panel, she said that she didn't necessarily like Obamacare. But at the same time, she has to recognize that some plan is better than no plan, right? And so she says that, you know, we need to have something for the American people. And unfortunately, right now, the government is shut down. Alyssa mentioned also, like the SNAP benefits are being taken away from over 40 million people. Um, the list goes on and on and on and on, right? And there's a whole other segment that talks about, like the Great Gatsby party. And of course, the East Wing is torn down. They're building a ballroom. So it's maddening because Alyssa says that Trump, a lot of people in her family voted for Trump because of affordability, and now things are just, I mean, through the roof, right? Between inflation and the tariffs, groceries are out of control. So it's really unfortunate that the Republicans cannot seem to come up with some kind of counter, right, to Obamacare, to the Affordable Care Act. Like, if you don't like it so much, Trump has had, his whole first term, they came up with nothing. They came up with no health care plan. And now, tomorrow will be 1 year from election day of last year that he essentially won. I know he wasn't sworn in until, January of this year, but still, the Republicans have nothing. The government is shut down. They're not even in Congress right now. So, and I don't know if you guys saw that the line from Houston out of TSA, but it was so long. And to be honest, I don't blame the TSA workers because you know going to work and working for free is not only demoralizing, but and they don't even know, the furloughed workers don't even know if they're going to receive back pay. It's like, you're wasting your time, you're wasting your gas, you're wasting, what I mean, time away from like your family, your kids. I mean, that could be time spent looking for a job that actually does pay. So, um, and Anna, that she says is she talks to her friends, right, in Miami, who says that, he's basically taking it too far. She was giving a lot of colloquialisms in Spanish, but that's essentially what he is. Again, back to the 60 Minutes video when he was asked about the pardon that he gave. And, he was just like, I don't know him. She's like, well, you gave him a pardon, you gave him a pardon. And he's like, well, he's into crypto, and, my sons are, into crypto. It's like, I understand, Donald Trump has the nickname Teflon Don, but at some point there has to be some kind of accountability, because you can't give pardons to someone that you essentially don't know. That doesn't work. He's sitting in the most powerful office of the free world. And if you're powerful enough to give a presidential pardon, then you're powerful enough to know who that person is and why they're getting a presidential pardon. So, and Sunny brought that up, but she also, slid Whoopi a note, which Whoopi did not like very much. She said that the hardest thing about this job now is that nobody really knows nuance anymore, right? She was like, it was a joke. It was about the auto pen. But I can understand ABC's frustration too, because they got sued by Trump recently for, I think it was $16 million. That's a lot of money. So they want to make sure that they don't, say anything that could get them sued again. I don't blame them. Anyway, so the Great Gatsby, right? Trump throws this, Great Gatsby themed Halloween party at Mar-a-Lago, and it just it reads as tone deaf during a time where his administration, um, is creating policies that make things so difficult for the American people. you know, Going back to, what Alyssa was saying, right? That her family members essentially voted for Trump on his campaign promise of affordability, that he promised to bring down the cost of eggs and, so on and so forth. Well, everything is pretty much skyrocketed. And the Great Gatsby, I don't know if you guys read that in high school like I did, but it was it was not talking about, wealth in a positive light, right? Or I guess exorbitant wealth, right? Excessive wealth, I should say. So, and the wealth disparity here continues to, widen because they don't necessarily tax the billionaires like they should. I think Elon Musk is set to become the world's first like trillionaire with a T. That's ridiculous amounts of money. He could easily, end world hunger and still have plenty of money left over. But I think it was really tone deaf. A lot of people are hurting. You know, like I said, healthcare is being held up. SNAP benefits are being held up. A lot of people are being laid off. Thousands and hundreds of thousands of people have lost their jobs recently, right before the holidays. It's just, it's just not a good look, and not a good time for that type of theme party. I thought it was in poor taste. Professor Scott Galloway, I really enjoyed his segment. He has a new book out, but he was just talking about how, he is really self-aware, and how his generation, the boomers, they have a lot of wealth that they have essentially, hoarded and kept for themselves, and have a lot of policies, and got a lot of tax breaks, and really came up in a strong middle class. And so now that's kind of gone away. And he's like, a lot of young men are suffering because they essentially feel like they can't compete with women, and, just not having the finances, or being financially viable in this economy. And it's hurting you know, um, their relationships, whether it's romantic or interpersonal. He's like, a lot of times women, when they're single, they'll throw themselves into like their work or their friends. He's like, men, they, throw themselves into conspiracy theories, or watching things they shouldn't know online, or, just really negative things. And so he also talked about how um, his relationship with his father, because he said that, um, young boys will be asked a really good question about masculinity. He said the young boys really do need a strong role model. And he said that, um, his relationship with his dad was complicated, but, he was able to kind of, be a better, father to his kids now. He said that his dad was a better dad to him than he had growing up. And I understand that, every generation gets a little wiser, hopefully, right? That's the hope. But I enjoyed the segment a lot. And I also want to mention that it's the anniversary of the 50th anniversary for Good Morning America. So, congratulations to Good Morning America. We're 50 years strong. Whoopi was waltzing. And, 'cause she said that that was one of her favorite moments on the show, where she was saying that people really don't waltz anymore. I haven't did the waltz since I was like in high school. I was a debutante in high school. So, that was a lot of fun. But yeah, I really enjoyed this show today, and I'm really looking forward to Marjorie Taylor Greene tomorrow. I think that this panel, I really do like them. I like the fact that, Anna, um, she's a Republican, but she's more left leaning. Alyssa's Republican. She's more right leaning. But they're both all the ladies are very smart, but they're both very smart. Then of course we have, Whoopi, who's pretty, she's kind of left leaning as well, Democrat. She's like center left. And then we have Sarah, who's independent, Joy, who's like center, moderate, Democrat, and then we have Sunny, who's like she's left leaning Democrat. But I enjoyed this episode a lot. You guys, let me know your thoughts in the comment section. Like I said, I'll try to get caught up on the episodes that I missed this past season. But I want to hear from you. Please be sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and I will talk with you in the next one. Take care, guys. Bye.